Thanks, Julien. So I'm Francois Morin, Vice President for Corporate and Business Development for First Hydrogen. And I'm very excited to be here today to update you about the hydrogen sector and First Hydrogen. I want to draw your attention, as we are a public company, on the forward-looking nature of this presentation. So today, the agenda, we will focus on the following points. First, hydrogen, path to decarbonization. Hydrogen industry trends, which is, as some speakers before me talked about, really increasing right now and becoming a huge trend. We'll talk about first hydrogen, commercial vehicles, LCVs, not cars, vehicles, vans. So, and then first hydrogen and energy infrastructure, and we'll have a Quebec update before we wrap it up. So we are first hydrogen. Simply put, we have a mission to accelerate decarbonization, and we are doing this by applying advanced technology in order to create a straightforward and compelling value proposition for our customers to provide competitive total cost of ownership, enabling a transition from legacy carbon emitting fleet vehicles to zero emission fleets. Our model is based on three key components of vehicle design and supply, zero emission fuel supply, and green powertrain, enabling both sustainability and economic value proposition based on total cost of ownership. Later in the presentation, I will provide updates on our progress. However, first, I want to share the very latest news on our market. Hydrogen is now what I consider to be a megatrend. The hydrogen megatrend is here, and it is critical for the investor community to be on board for this mega opportunity. This trend is a convergence of multiple factors that are all important in their own right. Today, these factors are combined in convergence of needs and capabilities. We truly have a rock-solid opportunity that we can seize with confidence and trust. This is why we're so passionate about what we're doing, and we know that the conditions are right to create tremendous value and tremendous good. A recent report, 2023 Global Energy Perspective from McKinsey, is reinforcing this position that the role renewables will play in our energy mix will be greater than 50% contribution by 2050. This is a long-term renewable energy supercycle we are entering, and along with it, it will be significant growth in the hydrogen sector. In fact, McKinsey has identified hydrogen as one of the fastest to grow as part of this supercycle. Of course, supply chain needs to scale up, and there are ongoing risks to do this that need to be carefully managed. Interesting is the reality that as renewables increase and generation costs decrease, that the cost of electricity from the grid will continue to climb. This is due to the massive investment needed to upgrade our electrical grid infrastructure. The implication here is that transportation providers needs to factoring in these costs into procurement decisions, and this is where hydrogen is expected to play a competitive role in the market. Our technology and value proposition is interwoven into the fabric of this mega trend, and I will now show you the exciting market developments that we are seeing. We're all very excited in the developments at COP28 this week. Our planet is under tremendous pressure, and the record high temperatures recorded this year are further evidence of the need to take action and to take it now. Economies are, of course, looking to balance short-term post-COVID budgets. However, it is encouraging to see the growing international consensus on the call for action. The first wave is definitely hydrogen production with green or low carbon intensity hydrogen being generated by electrolyzers from fossil fuels combined with carbon capture. Production is now forecast to increase by a multiplicator of 20 by the end of the decade from 2021 values per a recent IEA report. And we are now seeing growing commitments for the offtake or purchase of this hydrogen. It's very important to secure needed financing for the hydrogen project pipeline. Europe has estimated that there are some 7 megaton of demands commitments in place for 2030. So it's a significant portion of the global green hydrogen forecast of 16 to 24 megaton. Again, looking at Europe as a sector leader, we had a very good news announced late November with 65 projects being identified as having common mutual interest for the European Union. This will result in a high-level support as well as streamlined regulatory approval for these projects, along with a similar number of electricity and infrastructure projects. These projects are distributed across Europe and focus on major transportation grid corridors known as 10E network. And the final note on Europe is that EU Hydrogen Bank tender is now live and will close in early February with 800 million euros to be applied to help subsidize the winning bidders' hydrogen generation costs in order to provide hydrogen prices into the market that will result in further adoption of green hydrogen. So it's very positive. This is a very, very positive traction on the European front. And yes, green hydrogen is also front and center as part of the American clean energy industrial revolution. This image from the US DOE underscores the most comprehensive approach being taken by the US to integrate hydrogen into all aspects of the economy. And now, more good news from the US DOE Hydrogen Hub plan with projects being selected. 7 key projects were announced with $7 billion in funding support, unlocking an estimated of $50 billion in overall investments that will create a major stimulus on the overall hydrogen sector that already has. coast to coast, north to south, involving 17 states. This is very truly impressive, and the impact is great on our sector. And there's also an important activity happening beyond hydrogen hubs in the US. As a result, an additional government funding support for programs, or as part of what we call the US IRA tax credits and production credits. Here's one example of interest for both hydrogen generation and storage. I wanted to highlight how large hydrogen storage can be. This is the ACE Delta project in Delta, Utah, and it's representing one of the first hydrogen storage underground projects. And it is 150 gigawatts hour of energy storage. Compare this to battery storage, where the world's largest projects are under 1 gigawatt. And we see why hydrogen works for large energy storage that matches extremely well with capturing renewables for redeployment when needed. This is really, really super impressive. Bottom line, US and European traction on large projects for hydrogen and traction on renewable energy and electrification are all driving the conversion to zero emission. All major underpinning for First Hydrogen's business plan. And it is also great to see positive traction in the UK after the recent delay on a fossil vehicle ban until 2035 on the basis of affordability. The support of green industries include green hydrogen technologies that will benefit also from such investments as announced by Iberdrola to build out large-scale renewables. And in Canada, also project traction on the carbon reduction front, with over $10 billion in project announcements, notably in our sector by TESS, whom is also developing similar plans in Europe and the US for major decarbonization plans. Further, details in the Canadian tax credits for the hydrogen industry are expected this month, and this will only help to underpin similar projects going forward. A final perspective from the World Economic Forum shows how hard and how fast we all must work to close the gap on global warming to manageable levels. So, what does this all mean for the industry and for First Hydrogen? We have tangible evidence that the hydrogen investment wave is happening, and commercial vehicles are seen to be the winning mobility application. Our product choice of commercial vehicles and our market choice of Europe, UK, and North America are spot on. And finally, we are seeing acceleration, and with some more hard work, we need to act without delay. We are also in good shape with our overall progress, and I will now focus on our two initiatives, starting with our vehicle business. Our main event this quarter was our fleet day at the Myra test track near Manchester. It was a tremendous success, and again, strongly reinforce our thesis that LCVs, light commercial vehicles, for fleets need a fuel cell solution. Range, payload, and fast refueling are all seen as needed by fleet customers. We heard this firsthand from the multiple fleet operators and industry experts that attended. The event was a combination of in-class learning and feedback session, vehicle inspections, and actually getting to drive the van. Our UK team is to be congratulated for putting such an excellent event. The industry participation was broad-based, covering key adoption segments: groceries, parcel delivery, utilities, and resource industries. And importantly, participation from the leasing community that we see as very important to have on board, as the industry will need financing support in order to help speed the transition to zero emission. Important next steps are to translate the industry interest to tangible orders to help supply side management. Our journey to commercialization is underway, and we expect pre-orders or LOI as a Q1 2024 deliverable in this process. In summary, our fleet demonstration program is doing exactly what we expected of it. Voice of the customer, input verifying our product plans, and creating the demand for our vans. We will continue with more demonstrations to progressively get more fleet operators on board with the LOIs. So now let's turn our attention on our energy business. First, a quick refresher. So we still support fleet activities with confirmed green H2 supply, source of self-generated green hydrogen based on regional economics and market maturity, project development focus on renewable rich regions. We have initial development projects based on capacities in the 50 megawatt load range and producing hydrogen for up to 2,000 vans per project. And we have still near-term plans to develop 3 to 5 sites and synchronize the development cycle with fleet offtake agreements. Recall my comments about Europe. With commitments made by the EU, our focus is on partnership and with major players who are seeking offtake arrangements for hydrogen to the commercial vehicle segment. We continue to be active in project development in the UK and remain confident in its long-term potential. Our most significant traction is with Quebec, and we are now fully into feasibility and engineering studies that we expect to report on very soon. A quick refresher on Quebec, as Quebec is our lead energy project and it's tracking very well, and as mentioned. As previously communicated, we are centered on Shawinigan as our Canadian home for both initial hydrogen production and also for vehicle production for North American market. What we find in Shawinigan is a affordable skilled workforce, hydropower reservoirs, robust infrastructure and expertise, academia research and development, export potential, government support, environmental commitment, and low energy cost. We have fully secured our development sites and are on track with the overall project development process and working well with municipal, provincial, and federal levels of government. And also, we are part of the ecosystem in Shawinigan with VTE as a partnership, Investissement Québec, Hydrogen, and the Institute on Research, Research Institute on Hydrogen. We will have more updates on Shawinigan plans in Q1 2024. So let's wrap it up. Our business plan is holistic in nature and to simplify market adoption and create value to create value through our relentless focus on zero-emission commercial vehicles and green hydrogen, flexible fuel cell electric vehicle platforms, combined with hydrogen as a service, address large, stable markets. Our markets are clearly accelerating, and long-term sustainable markets are evident. Exciting progress on vehicle and energy fronts with fleet customers trials and also Shawinigan projects. Our zero-emission market play has a potential for billions of dollars in sales, serving our key European, UK, and North American markets with a total solution model for attractive returns. So that's all. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for this excellent presentation, Francois. It's always great to have you guys around from First Hydrogen. The project is moving forward at every single IIF. Now, for all our viewers, please post Q&A that you have in the Q&A, in the questions that you have in the Q&A box or in the chat, and we'll be happy to relay your question to Mr. Morin. So first off, Richard has a question. He's asking, when does the company plan a proper US stock listing beyond OTC Pink?
Well, right now we're still we're at TCX in Toronto. And we're looking probably in as the company will launch different programs in North America, as we're looking to launch in probably Q1 2024. We're launching a North America demonstrator program. So therefore, once we have that traction, we will look at the US to go public at that point.
Perfect. There's a lot of talk about the US, the IRA, if there is any subsidies that you guys can use from that. Obviously, you guys are already in Quebec and having a lot of deals. So we do have international investors here. Could you discuss again a little more about what's happening in Quebec? Because we are both from Quebec, we understand it, we see the news, we're very local and so on. But there is something very special happening that can really serve you through your progress in North America.
Yeah. Well, obviously, Quebec is a green electron producer, so with the hydropower. So and as a low cost story. So what we're doing in Shawinigan is we're accessing these green electrons for our purposes. First, we will be producing the hydrogen, and also we'll be manufacturing the LCVs in Shawinigan. And our manufacturing plant will create up to when up to scale, will create up to 25,000 LCVs per year. So these vans will obviously be for the export market in the US. But what's going on in Quebec right now is highly interesting. The government is also working closely with the hydrogen industry, and there's been a few big announcements, like we saw Test Canada, which is based in Europe as well, announcing a $4 billion investment in Shawinigan. So Shawinigan and Trois-Rivières is becoming to be the hydrogen hub for Canada. So a lot of big announcements that were done and are still to come puts First Hydrogen right in the middle of what's going on in the hydrogen sector in Quebec, hands in hands with the government. The government is massively investing in the different hydrogen sectors. So there's a lot to come, a lot still to come. But the announcement by TESS is certainly a traction to the hydrogen sector in Quebec.
Absolutely. Very, very well said. Two questions from the viewers or the listeners. The real-world operational trials with fleet specialist Revis and energy company SSE PLC showcase impressive vehicle range and minimal impact on range when carrying heavy loads or driving at higher speeds, which is usually quite a problem in this, obviously, in this problem. Can you elaborate on the feedback received from these trials and how it contributes to the overall strategy for First Hydrogen's hydrogen fuel cells vehicle in commercial fleets?
So first of all, we are very pleased with these testimonials. I think it does confirm our strategy looking at LCVs as being a great vehicles for fuel cell, hydrogen fuel cells, and having SSE and Revis doing the tryouts and then coming back with such impressive testimonial was really good for our business strategy. Really reinforced what we're doing as being, using the demonstrators, the demonstration program as being important to our marketing, really brings the people hands-on with the product, which is all what automotive is all about. You got to try it to believe it. And in this case, trying out hydrogen with a full load has really been some eye-opener for most of the fleet operators. And what we did in Myra in October was also when we brought over 22 participants from the different sectors to try our vans. They came out very pleased with the outcome and the different metrics, especially on the range, around over 600 kilometers per tank. This is very significant if you compare to the EV electric vehicles.
Absolutely. And so we have the last question. It's for exactly. So we have about 10 seconds to answer. Mark is asking, hello, how does your fleet refuel and how many refueling stations are available? So maybe you want to clarify on which state of you are exactly. So he wants to know basically, how does your fleet refuel and how many refueling stations are available?
Well, where? I mean, there's a jurisdiction.
So that's the point.
It all depends which place the. So right now, if I think in UK it's more evident. In Europe also, it's their buildings. Building right now the HRS hydrogen refueling station. In Quebec and Canada, this infrastructure is actually growing. And as First Hydrogen as a company is really hydrogen as a service. Well, it's a return to base segment. Fleet operators, fleet owners return to base at home, with their vans. So this is where basically we bring the HRS. Hydrogen refueling station is return to base in the parking lot where people can refuel.
Perfect. I think that was a great way to summarize it. So, Francois, thank you very much for being with us.
My pleasure.
It's 4:01. We have to go, and we'll be looking forward to have you in the next IIF to continue following your progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.